on the News Channel 5 network. This is Open Line.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Open Line. I'm Carrie Sharp. Really appreciate you being with us here tonight. Great topic that I hope to sort through over the next hour, and two wonderful ladies to do it with me. We're talking about North Nashville and what is happening there, particularly since the tornado ripped through what was 2 weeks ago tonight. Wow, sometimes it feels like it's just been a few days. Other times it feels like a year's gone by at this point. Let me introduce you to our guests. We have Charlane Oliver with Equity Alliance. Thank you for being here. And Odessa Kelly with Stand Up Nashville. Thank you as well for being here. If you ladies would just start by telling us about the organizations that you're representing.
Sure. So the Equity Alliance, we're 3 years old. We're a nonprofit 501c3 focused on civic engagement and building political power in Black communities. So we do a lot of issue advocacy and getting people in the political process, in the civic process, to improve our democracy.
So very important. That's often where it starts. And Odessa?
I'm the Executive Director for Stand Up Nashville. We've been around for 4 years now. We're a coalition of other organizations and unions together along with the Equity Alliance. To sum it all up, we're like a public policy watchdog. We do social and racial justice work through an economic lens.
Fantastic. And you guys told me, I said, I know y'all been busy, and both y'all went, oh. I know you guys have been boots on the ground since this tornado happened. But I want to go back to before the tornado, and maybe for our viewers who don't know, give me a snapshot of what North Nashville is as a community.
Well, you know, North Nashville is historically a Black neighborhood, one of the oldest in Nashville, and I recently moved there about a year ago because it's such a rich community to be in amongst, you know, our people, and a lot of older residents, families who have lived in their homes for generations, a lot of established Black working class folks that live there, and but it's been economically distressed already before this tornado hit.
Yeah, so, a lot of history, but also a lot of hardship.
Sure. Back in 2018, North Nashville was designated the 37208 zip code as having the highest incarceration rate in the country. And so that'll give you a picture of what we're dealing with in terms of the demographics and challenges that we're already having to deal with on top of this tornado that happened.
So Odessa, I want you to give me the snapshot of North Nashville today, post-tornado. What does it look like? Where are we?
It's a lot of different ways to put that, you know. In need of a lot of love and support. At the same time, it's resilient. I think North Nashville today is a current snapshot of what's taking place across America. It's a predominantly African American neighborhood. It's in an urban conclave that's fighting displacement and, you know, gentrification at a rapid rate. As Charlane just talked about, you have the dynamics that you usually see in most predominantly African American neighborhoods, where you have people who are poverty stricken, you know, along with a very affluent working African American class of people all within the same neighborhoods. And the destruction is just, I think, showing the holes and the gaps that we have as a society and how we think about community and how we take care of community.
The tornado just kind of exasperated everything, right?
It really did.
Yeah. And I was reading an article that within 2 hours, basically, of the sun coming up and volunteers showing up the morning of the tornado, also showing up were developers with their checkbooks, right? I mean, is that true?
It's very true.
It's very true. It's still happening. I mean, within the same day. I was out there near Lee Chapel that morning. Got a call from Eric Brown in the mayor's office saying, hey, we're about to set up a relief center. So we went out and canvassed the neighborhood just to look at the damage. And as I was looking, there were drones already flying up on top of houses, just hovering. And I don't know if they were like taking pictures or what, but it was just very disheartening, like in people's time of like chaos and like shock of what just happened to my house. You're trying to like profit off of that is just simply immoral to me. It's wrong, and we're here to try to like fight that off because we've seen it already happen in Nashville with the growth of whole communities such as Germantown and East Nashville, who used to be, you know,
That's my
black,
hood.
you know, predominantly black, doesn't look the same than it did, you know, even 10 years ago.
Right.
And so we don't want that same thing to happen to North Nashville, where these people, again, the character of Nashville lives in North Nashville.
Right. And I think a part of the equation that people really have to understand, it's like if homeowners choose to sell, and I know that you all are really urging homeowners not to do that. If homeowners choose to sell, that's a decision they make.
Sure.
But a lot of these homes are rented homes.
Yeah.
And so people who live there or have lived there for years aren't possibly getting really to make that decision. They could be forced out, and that's very much what happened in East Nashville as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's happening. I just got a message today of a family who lost their home, and the landlord wants to rebuild, but said they're going to raise the price and the rent, and basically they need to find somewhere else to stay.
And that's just flat out pushing a lot of families outside of Nashville now.
Yeah,
because they can't afford to live in Nashville.
Right, right.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's irresponsible for us to, I've heard a lot of people push back against it and say, well, that's the market, that's how it works, right? But when do we ever really just take into fact the historical mark of why there's so many African Americans that are renting opposed to being homeowners, right? So we can't dismiss redlining or, you know, the wealth gap and the disparities that were caused, you know, by so many years of inequity, and that's the huge gap that we have to jump that's causing this crisis.
It's really about peeling back an onion, and there are very many layers to this. It's just not black and white, cut and dry. Yeah. I do want to remind you that this is Open Line. This is your chance to call in, ask questions of people who are there working in the communities, whether you need help, you need guidance, or you just want to know more about the situation. Phone lines are open. 615-737-PLUS is the number to call. We're going to take just as many questions as we can get in the next about 54 minutes. So go ahead and be the first on the line. We'll jump right to you. As I was doing a little research on this, I didn't know that under the Trump administration that this zip code had been basically brought into a, you can explain it better, I'm sure, a program to give folks incentive to develop this area. Tell me about that.
Oh, the opportunity zones?
The opportunity zones?
Yeah. Say it again, what's it called?
The opportunity zones. Yeah, so.
Sounds like a good thing.
Sounds and is are two different things.
Explain it.
And first of all, we know with this jobs and tax cuts from 2017 that Trump gave, it was only to benefit, you know, the rich and wealthy. A lot of capital that does not exist in the black community. And so this opportunity zone is essentially could be a land grab where developers see an opportunity to, you know, have a tax shelter so they can dump their excess equity into investments. But we don't know if those investments and that equity is coming back to the community. So that's where we have questions about this incentive. We know that our community lacks capital, so how do we take advantage of those opportunity zones? I would love to see more black-owned businesses, black investors, even the current residents there have the opportunities first to invest in that land versus outside people coming in.
Let's get right to the phone lines. Timothy is on the line. Hi, Timothy. Thanks for being part of the show. First up tonight.
Thank you so much for allowing me to participate. Thank you so much for having these two wonderful leaders in our community representing the interests of not only North Nashville, but the entire city and this region as we make this transition from recovery into rebuilding. We're just grateful to have an opportunity to see, you know, voices that are being uplifted and that are talking about issues that are really of concern to us. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing both at the Equity Alliance and with Stand Up Nashville, Charlane and Odessa. You guys are really doing an excellent job of representing our interests and giving voice to many people whose voices have been unheard for a long time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate that. It's good to get a pat on the back, especially in times like these, because this can be thankless work.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, too, I want to give a shout out to Gideon's Army. They are hands on the ground right there doing direct services. Another group we work closely with as well in supporting them in all their efforts in North Nashville.
We had them on a couple of weeks ago, and they are just doing amazing radical work, I think. And it's and cashing in on dividends. I mean, when you talk about cashing in on things, they're seeing results.
Absolutely.
So it's good to hear you say that.
They're very needed.
When we talk about developers, this is not new to Nashville. Developers moving in. The gentrification issue has been around for years.
Right.
Tell me the stories of homeowners that have sought you all out, or people that you know, your neighbors. You said you live in North Nashville. When developers approach, especially at this time, I can just imagine it'd be easy to say, just give me the money. I'm just stressed out. Just give me the money and I'll go.
Right.
Right?
Right. Well, what we know is black folks are smarter than that. That's why we need to follow the lead of black folks when it comes to political engagement. What I'm seeing is folks are not selling. They don't want to sell. That's why we hosted the homeowners meetings last Monday, to give people those options of, if you want to stay in your home, here's what you can do. And how can you be your own developer, right? And you know, get access to capital. But yeah, most folks do not want to sell. But for instance, we have homeowners such as a lady named Angie that I met on Friday. She works for MMPS. She's a homeowner. She has a home insurance policy, but she cannot meet that deductible to get the repairs for her roof. So what we did is we're writing her a check tomorrow for $1,000 to meet her insurance deductible. And that is the purpose of the hashtag Don't Sell Out North Fund that we have on our website. We're raising money specifically to put cash in people's hands so that they can get the repairs that they need, food if they lost it in power outages, utility bills, rent assistance if you need to move. All of that is what we're trying to do, is really kind of meet people where they are from an equitable way.
From another perspective too, a lot of individuals who do end up selling, it's just because it's they were duped in a way.
How so?
How it was presented to them, as though this is the biggest, you know, check that you're going to get for this, you know, that your rebuild is, there you go, and it's going to put you more into debt, so therefore sell it to me. So that is a lot of the predatory language that's being pushed out there across not only North Nashville but Nashville. And another issue too is that you have a lot of people. We have to go back to some of the systemic issues that we have in Nashville, right? Nashville traditionally has been a working class town. So you have individuals who work 20 or 30 years hard at a job that are Metro employees, you know, that work in call service centers, you know, who don't make excess of $70,000, you know, in the city. And if you're under 70, you need workforce and affordable housing or something set in line to protect you. Those individuals are thinking, you know, can I really afford to really stay? So there's a lot of things that go into that, you know, but she's right. For the most part, people don't want to sell. Those who do usually end up selling have their back against the wall, or not knowing that there are other options out there for them. And that's the reason why we've also been supporting the fund and looking at the longer term growth too, of like, how do we turn this tragedy into an opportunity? How do we rebuild North Nashville, build workforce pipelines into the trending areas of construction and get people to work so they can, you know, have a pathway out of poverty into the middle class.
Well, what does a new North Nashville look like, as you all are starting to think about these things, obviously? What will make North Nashville even better?
Well, I mean, from a job standpoint, I think we need to be supporting Stand Up Nashville. They have an MC3 apprentice program where, as we are rebuilding these homes, let's put people to work that are in these communities who need that extra cash. So let's make sure we're meeting our workforce development opportunities, but also, you know, let's make sure that we are putting investments back into the community and allowing people to stay in their homes.
Yeah, aside there too, but just those who do want to redevelop or those who want to sell their homes, why is there not a community land trust in place that we can trust and hold on to be able to hold on to the land and resell it to those individuals, right? I mean, we shouldn't be ashamed to say that we want to keep a historically African American neighborhood, you know, the people in it. We don't want them to, we want them to have the option to stay or leave, you know, and that's the issue that we're having. So we're having those type of options in place. You know, we need more public policies that keep people in place and protect them in their homes. Those are some of the things that we need. Are you getting much response from our policy makers, from our Metro Council members, lawmakers, that sort of thing with that? I can say that the council is doing a great job. Bob Mendez, Quante Toombs, several of the council members, they've been doing this or looking into what they can do. I'm pretty sure the mayor's office has as well. You'd have to ask them directly. I don't want to speak for them, but there are a lot of other things that could be done. There's a lot of preemptive actions that have been taken on the state level that have kept us doing what we want to do as a city. There's several things we've done as a city that we voted in initiatives that said we wanted to happen. The state steps in and says that Nashville doesn't have the right to identify as Nashville in the way that we see as a city. So maybe this will open up some conversation about how we push back as Nashville and do what's right by all our constituents.
All right, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'd love to have more of your phone calls, 615-737. Plus, we're talking about North Nashville tonight. Stay with us.